Hello YouTube, it's me again, and today I'm bringing you a Dollar Tree makeup brush review and comparison. Now what do I mean by Dollar Tree brushes? Well, I mean these 5 Wet n Wild brushes that have popped up in my Dollar Tree. Possibly some of the same ones have popped up in your Dollar Tree. And I just thought I'd let you know how I liked them, what I used them for, and this, that, and the other thing. Okay, so we'll start off with the biggest one, and the biggest one is obviously the blush brush. It's the standard, traditional, tapered kind, and I usually do not get along well with these kind of blush brushes, which is why I went to the e.l.f. small stipple brush. That was easier for me to use. It stopped me from being heavy-handed, which is what part of my problem was. But the actual e.l.f. blush brush, I'd have to kind of hold like this and pinch the end and then tap it on. So I was using it essentially the same as this one. But with this one it was quite, I don't want to say stiffer because it's really soft. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a really soft brush. But it's not as flexible as the other one was, because when I put it on my cheek, it would just kind of, it wouldn't do that. It would splay out all over and go right up to the ferrule. With this one, I could just brush it on, and it's what I used to apply the face powder in my Drop 10 by Summer project. So this, I really like this for blush, honestly. You could possibly use it for contour too, because it's not very wide this way, but I don't contour, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised on how well I was able to use this brush. Okay, so next one I haven't really figured out what to do with, but I'll probably end up using it like a different brush I've got. Now this is a Wet n Wild, they call it a crease brush. I think they called it a crease brush. But I don't know if you can tell, but that is quite a big fluffy brush for being a crease brush. And it does not fit into my crease. I mean, the one I use for my crease is the e.l.f. blending eye brush. And as you can see, they are quite a bit different. This one's quite a bit smaller and more rounded. And I still prefer this one for my crease. So this one I'm not sure what to do with. But this is a Wet n Wild eyeshadow brush. This is one of the old ones. As you can see, it's blue. But and this one's almost too big for me to use too, but what I do with it is, after I applied my primer, I take a neutral eyeshadow, one that's close to my skin tone, and I put it from my lash line up to my brow bone, and just blend it all out that way, so I have a base color to start with. And this, I don't think would be too bad for that either. I mean, you could kind of blend as you go. But I haven't tried that yet because I've been using my standard one for that. But I think I could get by with using it the same way I use with this one. But honestly, if you have one, you may not need the other. Or maybe you like a bigger, fluffy blending brush. I don't know, I just haven't figured out how I like using it yet. I mean, it's a soft brush like everything else, so there's nothing wrong that way. I just don't know how to use it. Okay, so another brush, and this is an eyeshadow brush. I think this is the large eyeshadow brush. It's obviously not as large as the other one. But the brush I use for an eyeshadow brush is the e.l.f. one. And if you can tell, they're almost the same size. So I was kind of frustrated when it didn't work the same as this one. Because as you can see, this one's rather fluffy, but this one is actually quite stiff. So it didn't really work to pack on the eyeshadow like I pack it on with this. However, what I have found that it works really well for is putting cream eyeshadows on my lid. I usually use a cream eyeshadow as a base before I put my eyeshadow on top, and that has worked really well. The brush just seems to be made really well for that, because it'll pick up and hold the crease color, or the cream color, and there is some of it on here. I'm sorry, this is not a clean brush, but there's a clean side. I've got a pink shade on it there anyway. I found that it works really, really well for just putting that on my lid. And so that's how I've been using it lately. And I've really been liking it. So, and I don't have another brush that I use for cream shadows. I've usually used my finger before I found this one. So I really, really like it for that. And I would go out and get it again for that specifically. Because I think now I would miss it. Okay. Now this is the Smoky Liner brush from Wet n Wild. And you can tell I've used it for lining because it's still kind of dark from the liner I used. But usually I use the e.l.f. eyeliner brush. And you can tell that the e.l.f. eyeliner brush is quite a bit longer than this one. But honestly, it doesn't really make a difference. They both work the same. They basically both do the same thing with the same. I mean, there's nothing different about them. They both, I can't find a difference between the two. I've used them both. They both do just fine either way. So, honestly, if you have one, you don't need the other. Not really. But this one, I don't know. I think e.l.f.'s brushes have gone up a little bit, so it might be $2 now versus this one you can get at the Dollar Tree. But either way, they're both kind of the same thing. So, another one I haven't found a use for, and this, I believe, is the gel eyeliner brush, or the small liner brush. As you can see, it's got kind of a angle on there. I know a lot of people like these for brow powders, but I don't do that. I have a eyebrow crayon or pencil that I like to use. And a lot of people like to use them for gel eyeliners, but I haven't been using a gel liner either. So I'm guessing if I'm just going to have to mess with it more, essentially. But it feels just kind of like the liner brush. It's soft, but the bristles are stiff enough that it'll stay straight for you and not bend. But it's not going to scratch your eye in the process. So that's one of those things you're going to have to try yourself, because I haven't found a use for it yet. But like I said, it's probably good for gel eyeliner, or you're doing your eyebrows that way. And I will definitely have to try it myself once I am transitioning into a eyebrow palette. So maybe I'll do an update on how that's been working for me. But yeah, anyway, those 5 brushes you can find at your Dollar Tree. And I do quite like them all, even though I haven't found a use for all of them just yet. But I do really, really like them. So I hope this review was helpful, and this comparison, because I did compare it to a bunch of my e.l.f. and another Wet n Wild eyeshadow brush. So again, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching. Bye!